I want to talk very specifically about Othello's language. In a Shakespeare play, I'll put this simply, you'll hear it from me again. How you speak is who you are. The core of a Shakespeare character is the character's language. How you speak is who you are. Othello's language is noble, idealistic, um, a bit fanciful. That is who he is. Look at that speech to the senators. Again, look at the clip of James Earl Jones doing it. My most potent, grave, and reverend seniors. Notice he does the rudum I of speech. I'm just a simple, I don't speak well, he says. Whenever a character in Shakespeare tells you that he, usually he, occasionally she, is not a good speaker, that they're untrained, they're not a sophisticated speaker, buckle up. They're about to blow the roof off the joint. They're about to give you a speech you will not believe. This is the unfrozen caveman lawyer rhetorical trope familiar to us later in life. It's like, I'm a simple person. I'm just a caveman. I don't understand. I can't speak these complicated things. And immediately after Othello says he's rude of speech, he can't speak these eloquent things, he busts out incredible eloquence. It's a beautiful speech. It's a literary speech. It's deeply poetic. He's deeply poetic. He speaks like he's the best speaker in the damned room. He was just telling he was rude of speech to play the expectations game. I want to flip ahead to it's page 40 if you have our edition. If you don't, it's still Act 2, Scene 1, about line 185. Othello has showed up, found his wife, called her my fair warrior. That's an interesting way to think of your wife. It's important. The metaphors and similes characters choose tells us about them. It tells us how they think about the world around them, how they see things. And then Othello says this, it gives me wonder, great is my content to see you here before me. Oh, my soul's joy! If after every tempest comes such calms, may the winds blow till they have wakened death, and let the laboring bark climb hills of seas Olympus high, and duck again as low as hells from heaven. If it were now to die, 'twere now to be most happy, for I fear my soul hath her content so absolute that not another comfort like to this succeeds in unknown fate. Okay, rude, he is not of speech, clearly. That's some beautiful language, courtesy of our friend from Warwickshire, William Shakespeare. The second part draws. I wish I could die. He's telling us he wishes he could die now. If it were now to die, twere now to be most happy. This is the happiest. I take me now. It will never get better than this. There's nothing in unknown fate that the fact that the future is unknown that I can ever be as content as this. That itself is well. Then like the idea, like I don't actually want to come down from this high of joy. I would rather just die now than actually accept a smaller piece of joy. That tells you something. That tells you something about this character's psychology. It tells you something about what he and his wife share. They both have this perspective. But I want to say that if after every tempest comes, first of all, if after every storm you get calms like this, destroy, bring us this. Let the winds blow till they have wakened death. The most extreme storm ever. Let the laboring bark, the ship, climb hills of seas Olympus high as classical Greek heaven, the Mount Olympus, and duck again as low as hells from heaven. That discussion of being as high as Olympus, as low as hell, is very much, pardon me, having a groundling who is having a complaint, is very much Othello's way of thinking. The highest of the highs, the lowest of the lows. His speech is marked by this all the time. In fact, in his speech to the Senate, he talked about hills whose heads touch heaven, all the way to the top or all the way to the bottom. Othello almost never speaks of in between. He is a character marked by great extremes, the highest highs, the greatest joys, and then the lowest of the lows, of being at the total bottom. His language never makes space for ordinary everyday life, ordinary everyday experience. Othello's language is never about the pretty good. Not bad. Can't complain, right? How are things, Othello? Right. It's either the greatest of joys. Take me now. Let's have it the highest highs, the lowest highs, lows. As high as hell, as low as heaven. Heaven and hell are words that come up a lot. Othello, Othello is about the top and the bottom. He's not about what happens in between, and that is extremely dangerous. I would also look at the number of times he talks about trading something for the world, and this is something Desdemona shares with him. He earlier in the speech is describing his wooing of Desdemona. He says he was given a world of kisses, or if you have a different edition, a world of sighs. I'll tell you next week about that. Either case, that's a lot. A world of kisses. That's a lot of kisses, an infinitude of kisses, as many kisses as everything. This is always Othello's language is always about the superlative, the greatest, the worst, the absolute best, the top of the museum, the lowest of the low. He is not about everyday normal experience and his character never shows a willingness to calibrate his expectations for mere everyday happiness. Quotidian, routine, boring, happily enough ever after. It's not how he rolls.